So, I mean, these things aren't on the agenda tonight, but I, have heard from the fellow board members some questions, so I'm willing to take both of the next two agenda items, the Midwest Consulting and the IMEG proposal, and put them aside for a special meeting perhaps, where Sue could zoom in and answer some questions for us.
For that.
So motion from me, supported by Amanda. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Thank you. All right, so that takes care of those two. The next one is the purchase of the computers.
And I did go on Bell's website and I did find the exact computers and I can't get them cheaper. And just going in as a plain person, 4,000 can get knocked off. And I think asking for a government rate can get us even more off. And I did have an offer from a resident to send me a 17% discount, but I never received it.
Sorry, I forgot to send that. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
All right.
I did not pursue getting government rate.
Thank you.
And so.
This broadband rollout can't come soon enough.
Right, could you gather that information or bring it back? So we, yeah,
Yep, I can do that. I just didn't want to
yeah.
waste the time doing it.
Sure.
There was some support for it. Okay.
Well, if we gotta do it, then our next board meeting is only 3 weeks, so.
Yep.
Okay,
I will do that. No problem.
all right, so we're gonna table that then, is that?
Yeah.
All right, we'll make a motion to table that, Rod. I'll support.
Make a motion to table the computer purchase.
Okay, I'll support that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to thank Rod for going through all this. We really don't have an IT person here and you've dealt with all this computer technology thing for 3 years, longer. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor of tabling this item for more information, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, both say nay. Thank you. Okay, project manager position. So this is a position we had in the past. I think Kurt was project manager for a minute in time a while ago. And we have developments that we're under consent judgment for. We have to allow these developers to come in, that there's consent judgments on them. We're obligated to provide them water and sewer. Some of these developments have been built out. Some of them are going to be coming online soon. Leone Township has signed their consent order with Eagle, so the sewer moratorium will be lifted. And we have an 81 apartment complex that's coming in and more phases of the Westchester development, which is ultimately going to be, I think, 10 phases. They're on phase 3. Both of these, along with some of the other ones, these are the consent judgments from a long time ago, from 2008, I think, that we're locked into. So these developers are coming in, and in some situations, they're not always the most honest, the most ethical. We've had a situation in one of the developments where the driveways weren't poured right, and so now water is coming into people's garage. And this developer has, he's been done for a year and he's gone. So we need some follow-up on things like that. We also, I think, when we originally did the project manager, and I hope the description's in here. To also help watch as these things get built out. We have development agreements with the developers. They put down money to make sure they're gonna do the roads right, and then they would go out and say, hey, the roads look good, check that box off. So it's a big job maintaining it, keeping an eye on this development, making sure the boxes are checked, making sure these future Sylvan Township residents are protected. So we had a project manager for a while, Kurt was project manager for a while. And I feel like now as things are moving again with this development and we're running into problems with, Mr. Trubiano. I've sent him a letter in the summer that he hasn't responded to. Our attorney is engaging with him now. He owes us tap fees. He hasn't done right by the residents over there and he's gone. So we need to make sure, and I'm following up and we have our attorney on that too. But part of this is preventative, so we don't get to a spot where someone is gone. We have someone here at the township who's keeping an eye on those things. So, interest? Okay. So this is I don't know if anybody has looked at this job description in the past. If this is just an informational thing tonight and you're looking at it and you want to discuss it further in December. I'm okay with that. Fortunately, it is winter, so there's not gonna be a lot of building going on at this point in terms of like pipes in the ground and things, but Ronnie, I see you with your hand up.
I got a question about that job. Is that job gonna entail like a 9 to 5 where they actually leave the office and go see things?
That's what we're, right, that's
So-
exactly, well, I don't know about 9 to 5,
So
because we
who will
can't
be
pay anybody 9 to 5.
Work these out.
Well, and the 9 to 5 is difficult because we can't, we run off of less than 1 mil here. So you think about the millage that you pay to different places, community college, different things.
That would drop some data over $1 million.
Exactly, and actually, I'm glad you brought that, so also, we're gonna, those monies are gonna be going towards the bond payment, we have an opinion from the bond attorney that tap fees should be going to bond payment. So that's not money in our pocket, that's hopefully reducing what everybody's paying, but this is not the time for that. So anyway, I don't know about 9 to 5. I don't know if we can, have somebody full-time, none of us work full-time. So anyway, what does the board think? Would you like time to look this over? Have you seen this job description before?
I would like time to look it over because, and frankly, I have no idea what a project manager for township development projects entails. I mean, this does not look like a lot of items. Is it comprehensive enough? That's my question. I
Okay.
don't know.
Right. Are there more things that we would need that person to be doing?
Exactly.
Okay.
I'll just add that, I sort of struggle with the term project management because I worked as a project manager.
Mhm.
And I understand scope, schedule, budget, processes, how you work. This is really not what we're asking somebody to do. This is, to me, sounds more like compliance. You were issued a permit or the okay to go ahead and do this. And then somebody to go and look and make sure it's being done. And that the ball isn't being dropped in that. Isn't that really more what we're talking about?
And I think that's more back to me, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, you're thinking more on like a one-off thing, you're building a house or you're building a something. I'm thinking about like Joe Trubiano when he came in and he put it in, we have this big development agreement. And when he gets these things done, then his performance bond that he puts down goes down a little bit. He put down $2 million. And if 50,000 of it is in case he does the roads wrong, then we go in and say, you did the roads wrong, we're taking your 50,000 to make it right. But once he's proven that he's done it right, then that sort of money can be released. So that's what I'm thinking. But I think this is great discussion, because this is what we can make this job description be what we want it to.
Well,
And I agree with you on the name, we can come up with something better.
before we talked about, so compliance, I think is the right word, because somebody comes in and they get a permit to make some changes to their house, and then nobody ever goes to make sure that's what they did. And if you've ever been to a ZBA meeting, it is unbelievable what people who buy houses there have to put up with because people just build stuff on their own without permits. And this is what happens when you don't have somebody checking up on what somebody said they were gonna do. Oh, I'm gonna build, and I'm going to build, increase the driveway in my house, and all of a sudden it's 1.5 width driveway and not a 1, and it encroaches on somebody else. I mean, the whole lakefront neighborhoods are a whole different ballgame, and it's really maddening for, well, the ZBA would not have a lot to do if it weren't for the lakefront neighborhoods, and I'm thinking maybe we want to consider adding what we talked about at some other meeting, is having somebody follow up on not just those developments, but on everybody.
But
So
are you talking about code enforcement versus project manager? Because I think those are two different jobs. Because what I'm hearing from you is more code enforcement, that you're following up with the ZBA, making sure people are building according to specs.
Right.
That's different though than somebody managing a project.
So what I heard is that you have somebody doing the auditing or the compliance. And if the driveways didn't get put in right, this person would go after the performance bond money. And once they got the money,
Right.
then you have a project. Now you gotta build a road, somebody's gotta do that. Then you would have the project manager
To do that.
to do that piece of it.
Well, yeah,
And
so we could call it something.
auditing, compliance, or whatever. But the other thing is the cost of it, to pay for this position,
Mhm.
really should be on the developers, right?
It should be part of the fee schedule. It should be part of the fee schedule.
Should be part of either the fee schedule or in the trusted agency account.
Well, I
Right,
think
right,
trust
yeah,
agency
right.
accounts
So it's a
for
little-
that Too,
It's a
right,
little more involved than,
yeah.
but that's why we're talking about.
Well, exactly, that's why, and this is how we come to that. So that's a great question too. I want to ask the attorney if, if there's certain things we can put in these trusted agency accounts. Those are, the trusted agency is when somebody wants to do something, they come in and put down money. So our attorney can look at things, our engineer would look at things, and our engineer would be the one to go out and look at the road and say, hey, that's not according to what they built. Like, we're not going right, but then we need someone here internally that's who's tracking all that. Okay. Well, then let's all look at this, think about what you might want to add. We can add it to December meeting if we want. I'm thinking we might want to have a special meeting in December to talk budget too, because we need to be thinking about budget. We gotta get that, fiscal year will start, April 1st. So, all right, I will make a motion to table this.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. So the next item is this replace basement doors. And
This got awarded once.
I move to approve the Howard Commercial Door Project, $3,590.
Thank you, I'll second.
so I have some discussion on this because I don't understand why this came up over a year ago and it was really urgent and we had to do it and we all went through it, we got quotes, we got a guy, he never came out, is that correct? Correct. And that was over a year, it was an entirely different budget year.
We made 3 calls to him to come out and said he'd be out, and this still never showed.
Yeah. And so, so that's disappointing. So I know these things need to be done. We didn't budget for this, I don't think.
We did at one point.
Did we? Because I thought when we did the expenditure last time, it was an emergency thing. And we hadn't expended any money for it, and it was like, we gotta hurry up and do this, because these doors aren't secure.
I thought we kept rolling it over.
I don't know that we
It was
did.
not, no, it was not budgeted for, in the last time it was on the agenda, that it was not budgeted for in that budget, but my sense is that it was the previous budget. It had been
Yeah.
budgeted for.
I know it was.
Wouldn't building maintenance
I felt
cover, I
like-
mean, we wouldn't budget for a specific project. We would just cover it under building maintenance.
Right, and I'm not sure what building maintenance is at right now, because I don't think we considered this expense when we budgeted, is just what I'm saying. So,
Look, in
I would almost think, yeah, because every year we've been discovering this.
well,
Trying
it's
to get it
been,
taken care of.
right, and then it just
At
fell
one
off
point,
for a
we couldn't
while.
get one,
Right,
and then we finally got one, got a couple of them.
right.
Ordered it finally.
And then
and
it
it
didn't
didn't do
come.
it.
All right, well, that's just the extent of my comments. I mean, if we need to do it, even if we're over budget, then that's just, we're over budget in other areas as well, so we'll have to do a budget amendment. at
And the
some
troopers
point.
are gonna throw in 1,000 on
I know, I negotiated that.
I know.
Thank you.
it.
That was
Yes.
the three.
Yes,
Yes, that's what they said in their email. I mean, that was a year ago. I'd have to double check, but yes, that's what they told me they would contribute. Because it's one of them is their door, so they said they'd be happy to pitch that. And all right, so we have a motion from Kurt, supported by Rod, to accept the quote from Howard Door. That's correct? Yes. All right, any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you, motion carries. This one may be more of a discussion item too, because I think, I put together, Rod and I sort of looked at some neighboring communities, neighboring townships who have an office manager. And put this together. I think our township is growing, we need more. I think at some point in this next budget time, we should talk about expanding our office hours, because 12 hours a week is just really not very many hours. To be available, we're not working 12 hours a week. I don't know anybody who could do their job in 12 hours a week, so we might as well have the doors open, we have everybody to be able to come in. But I'm bringing this forward, talk with Sandy about it. I think our office needs someone who, we need the office running. No matter who is elected up here, the trustees are not in the office, the three of us have offices here. We're just elected folks, we could be anybody. And so I think it behooves the township to have an office manager who, is here, has a clear idea on what happens, where things go, people can come in. If the clerk isn't here, they can get voter registration things. If, the treasurer's not here, they can leave their tax information. Or if someone comes in, all of these new residents are under water sewer system. And we're currently also exploring dissolving our water and sewer authority. So we're gonna be bringing that in-house. We're gonna be running the Department of Public Works with the water and sewer. Linden Township will be our customer because they have some sewer and no water. So there's gonna be a lot of things going on, a lot of growth. I think, our current structure could use some tinkering with this. I'm not sure that, and we need the floater we have, and then our receptionist and an office manager. But I see a need greater than what we have right now for someone who could run an office in a coordinated way. Take the information that the board does when we pass policies, then they enact that policy. They take it, they change the documents, they distribute the information. So anyway, that's my thought. So we put together a job here, job description. I know it's the first time you're seeing it, so like the other one, if you'd like to look at this, maybe compare it with the jobs we currently have. Be happy to have input on what you are.
Can I say something now? Because I previously held an elected office in the city of Ypsilanti. I mean, my kids went K-12 here, so I lived for a period of time in the city of Ypsilanti. So the population is 22,000. We don't have anywhere near that many people here. But I think about what it looked like then. And how many staff people there were to make things happen. There just aren't enough people here. We need to have somebody who takes responsibility for our website. I looked on the planning commission website the other day. And it's appalling. It doesn't even have everybody's name on it. It has no email addresses. At least I think the ZBA has the current names of the members and their email addresses in case you want to get in touch. I mean, that's a real job. Somebody needs to do that. We need somebody to update the policies and procedures handbook. Who's going to do that? We need to update the employee handbook. I think that we should also look into maybe scheduling at least 1 or 2 evenings a month for the office to be open, but who's going to do that? Everybody works more, scheduling 12 hours a week to run the township with the number of people that we have. It's just not enough. And it worries me that people spend so much time that they don't get paid for researching projects like Amanda and the AV, like Rod and the board. Even just getting, somebody to plow the snow. This person could do that. But some of these things don't get done. Or they're done by somebody who spends a lot of time doing it and they're not paid for it. And I am not in favor of somebody doing work they don't get paid for. It's illegal. That's all. I'm in favor of it. And I'm sure it'll take many more conversations before we could figure this out.
So I'll make a motion to table this item for more information. And then I would like you all to give me some feedback. Maybe we could discuss this at a special meeting as well. So I'll make a motion to table.
Support.
Excuse me, any discussion? Right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. All right, next is our snow. It's fun, Sandy, our snow removal.
You added that under new business? the
Yes.
appointment.
We're moving on to new
Okay.
business. Excuse me. So we have some quotes. I think Bollinger's.
I'll just make a motion to give the contract to Bollinger Paving, as they've done a good job for us the past few years.
I'll support that.
Oh, thank you. Motion by Rod, supported by Amanda, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. Next is the approval of the 2024 meeting dates. Let's see, board. There's several dates in here. So we have a Township Board of Trustees. A schedule for federal holidays observed. And then also calendars for planning commission and CDA. And I know planning commission approved their calendar, I think. Okay, so both of those calendars have been pre-approved by those groups. We would approve them all, when we passed, we approved everybody's and then also approve the. Yeah, the list of the federal holidays that we observe.
I'd like to meet it, so there was one change in it because we vote on it every year and it's in front of us again. Between Christmas and New Year.
Is that on the, okay. That's coming up here too, right?
Right. So rather than just have to do it twice. split it in. It's done.
Oh, you're saying put it in for the closures?
Put it-
For the,
The-
for the holidays. And that would be, sorry,
It's exactly what we approved last year, right?
And that's what's being asked to be approved.
I think that makes sense.
and then those dates, the additional dates in December were, the 26th, 27th, 28th. Probably Christmas is the 25th on a Monday. And so those are the days, so it would be December 26th, 27th, 28th.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting calendars with the change to the township closures.
Support. So, okay, it looks like they avoided
Yeah, the election.
the numerous elections next year.
They avoided them.
And then,
Is that what the asterisks are for?
yes, the months where it's not the first Tuesday of the month because it will be election day.
Oh, got it.
So, but January 9th won't be. I think, so Susan mentioned to me when she was putting together the things. That if we are closed the week of Christmas, then the 2nd. January 2nd is the first Tuesday of the month. But she wondered if the board would want to have a meeting. Right after we've been off for,
Right.
a week, would it be better to move it to the 9th?
I think so. That makes sense.
Okay. And then, so since they're looking at the March primary now in February, that March date should be good unless that goes sideways.
No, I think that it's fine because the
Did they approve that already? Oh, my goodness, okay.
adjourned in time for the 90-day period, so it will be February the 27th.
Okay,
Presidential primary.
wow, February 27th, because of the primary.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the Sylvan Township Board of Trustees meeting schedule. The 2024 Planning Commission meeting schedule, 2024 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting schedule, and the 2024. Observance of holidays with the additional days.
I will support that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Thank you. An ethics policy. This is something that we've talked about for a while. Rob Paul sent a couple different ones, ranging from really complicated to pretty simple. Very complicated ones from cities, large cities. So I went simple, I took the simplest one that he had sent. And then, added a few things that I had seen in other ones that he sent, which I also forwarded to you guys, let me know if you didn't get it. So this is just a real simple draft. It's based off of the township. I forgot the sample township that he sent it from. But just like the job descriptions, this is something everybody will want to have their input on. If you want to look at the other sample documents that he sent, and to see if there's things you would like to have in the ethics policy that perhaps I didn't see. That would be really fantastic, so we can all have a part in crafting. And most of them, yeah, were like a standards of ethics or conduct. He also sent, and I forwarded to you, it was a code of conduct, I think, and I believe our board has already approved that and passed it. I remember Kurt asking at the time whether it was gonna be in the policy book. So if you see that in the ones that I sent, we've already approved that one. And most of them had things obviously in common, you won't disclose confidentiality, won't present their opinion as that of the commission. Won't use resources. So there were some that were very clearly boilerplate, that were on everybody's, and it was just a change of, difference in language, so if you want to look at this, look at the samples I've sent. That fall sent. We can, maybe come together and have a policy in the next month or two. Okay. So I will move to table this for input, board input.
I'll second.
Rod, during discussion. Does anybody need the other sample doc? Do you remember if you, let me know if you didn't get the email with the other,
I'm not sure that I did, but I can carry it. So if you,
Okay.
maybe if you- it's handy, send it again.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're all just there. I will do that. All right, motion for me supported by Rod to table. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye, opposed, say nay. Thank you. Next item is additional holiday closures. Did we address that? No. Okay. Next item is the Metro Act permit application.
Said we were gonna vote on it.
Oh,
And what we voted on was the 24 calendars.
2024 calendar.
Yes. I said we were gonna vote on this tonight, so why not put it in the 2024 calendar? So that we don't have to do that
yes,
again.
right.
Okay, right. Yeah, so we don't have to, yeah, we'll just skip that one. So next is the Metro Ed permit application from Midwest Energy and Communication. So we received this is from the person, the company putting in the broadband, they have to put in the Metro Act application, it's a telecommunications thing through the Public Service Commission. They give us $500, they send us this permit. The board needs to approve or deny within 45 days. Or we face penalties and fines. So we got this, sent it to Attorney Paul. He had someone in his office look at it, they had a couple of questions, one of them was. If everything was gonna be underground or if they were gonna be putting things above ground. And the answer was it was gonna be below ground as much as possible.
Which we did not expect that when we initially discussed this on the Washington County Broadband Task Force. They were looking at it aerially, but they're having some issues with the consumers. Poles, so they're going to go underground, which is better. Definitely better, less issues with trees coming down, etc.
So he had questions, he asked if I wanted to relay them to the people or if he could just do it directly, and I said, please just do it directly. And he was satisfied with the answers, like I said, he said they were gonna be underground as much as possible. If you have any questions, I can forward them, he recommended that we sign the permit.
So along this topic, so I have spoken with Chris Sharver, who is Southern Township resident, who is managing the gap filling initiative and the RDOF initiative. There are two federal funding programs that will pay for the broadband across the entire county. Excited to share that Midwestern Energy Communications is the internet service provider that's covering most of Sylvan Township. So right now, they just entered Sharon Township. They're coming from Manchester, but they also are going to build a hub in Waterloo, which means those of us on the western side of Sylvan Township may see this fiber in the summer. But everybody's so But there's also the question for those of us that will receive fiber, what do we do once we receive it? I mean, this is an issue that Linden Township ran into as well, where people weren't sure what to do. So I'm going to reach out to Midwest Energy and Communications and ask them, what's the process that people will need to know to understand what to do? What Chris also shared with me is that, and again, I'm gonna kind of get a fact document together to help people understand what steps they need to take. he explained that if you sign up for it before the infrastructure is actually being built, so I think it's $100 fee, they will bring the line to your house when they're actually laying that fiber down the road. And he said that's really important because you'll be at the head of the line once they turn it on, because if you don't sign up for it and pay that $100 fee before, then you'll have to wait for them to come back and bring that line to your house. So I'll research that and come up with that fact sheet, and we'll be able to get that to everybody, just so you understand the steps, because this is complicated stuff, but I'm just so excited.
This is natural gas, so,
Right. Yeah, so
kind of.
what about people who have Comcast?
if you're already serviced, you will not,
Yeah.
if you have Comcast, but they're bringing the line in front of you because they have to bring the line in front of you, I do believe that you can sign up with this and dump Comcast if you want to. Yes. Yes. So when we figure out exactly where, the map, you can look at this map and have an idea, but it's not very clear.
Yeah.
But yes, if it's running in front of you, I bet you can actually sign up for fiber.
And actually, better copies of the maps were one of the things the attorney asked for, and you sent them to me, they kind of blew them up a little bit, but I didn't want to print huge things, so if anybody's interested, I could forward those to you, it is kind of difficult, especially black and white.
Cause I'm sure you'll wanna know if, even if you have Comcast, will this run in front of you, you don't have a choice.
Could you find that out, I wonder, from that website, where you can be interactive map, where you can click on and it'll.
They don't always want to divulge a lot of that information, but I'll try, I'll see if Chris can actually get that information.
Yeah, well, and Comcast, we know where they are, they were obligated to tell us, but the township here,
But they won't allow us to disclose that to the public.
no, right, that's different, that's a.
But I think,
map,
right, but I
yes.
think Midwestern Energy is like more important. probably.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we have in front of us the permit, for the access to and ongoing use of public ways of telecommunication providers under the Metropolitan Extension Telecommunication Right-of-Way Oversight Act of 2002.
So I will, are you making that motion?
No, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I will make a motion to move to approve access to ongoing use of public ways by telecommunications providers under Metropolitan Extension Telecommunications Rights of Way Oversight Act 2002, PA 48 MCL section 48.3101 to 48.4.3120. In addition, authorize Kathleen Kennedy to sign document and a management fee to witness.
Second,
So, I'm not sure if Susan put it in there. Oh, no, it does say it. Okay, perfect. Oh, that's fine. All right, wonderful. Motion from Amanda, supported by Rod. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you. So in township YouTube channel.
just want to put it out there. It's kind of gotten around already. Links on the website. I understand. We have what we have. And until we get the rest of this finished, or we get something better, this is what we have. So, I apologize for the poor quality, but there's nothing that we can do. And every single video that I have recorded on my laptop has been put on YouTube, and there's like 52 or some videos up there. So I spent a lot of time doing that, and it's finally all done, and this meeting tonight will be on it tomorrow, so.
And you can see that maybe you will point it out, where the folks are here this week building out our technology that the people have invested our ARPA funds, a portion of our ARPA funds in. That's the projector, which that's the humongous screen. I'm shocked, I guess, when you actually see how big that is. But there's new microphones, there's a camera back there that will allow people at public comment to be seen and heard better. We're gonna have new microphones that aren't from 1999, as the guy said. So this is great, and that maybe even by December, we'll be able to utilize this new technology. We're all gonna have a learning curve. But they should be done this week. I think they're gonna be done by Thursday, so that's fantastic news. Hopefully that will make the need for that no longer there.
Yeah.
All right, so now to our additions. One is the appointment of the interim zoning, administrator to sign permits that are submitted right now. I talked to our attorney today, and he said we need to have someone in an interim who would sign permits. He said that that person could be me. Traditionally, it's a supervisor, but it could be anybody. He recommended that that person be compensated at the zoning rate, whoever ends up doing that. Vote,
I will make a motion to appoint the supervisor as the interim zoning administrator.
I'll second.
thank you. Motion by Amanda, supported by Rod. Is there any discussion?
Are you okay with that?
It's a bit for being nominated. I am okay with that. It's gonna be an interim basis. I'm working with Ron Paul on the permit that's submitted right now, so I have good guidance on it. And the good news is, I have a meeting tomorrow with someone who I think might be able to be interim or maybe more. So hopefully, I don't think it will be a very long time. If it's something that's a tremendous burden, then I need to unload it in December or something, I'll let you know. But I don't think it's too. Thank you.
No, that's all I had.
Thank you, thanks for asking. All right. Motion, and support, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you. And then finally, the item that Sandy would like to just add the farmland preservation discussion.
Yes. I'm not sure what happened between when Barry Lonick came, we had a great turnout for his presentation. There are a number of townships in Washtenaw County that have a land preservation ordinance or policy.
I think that's where we got held up last time. The attorney was gonna give us guidance on.
So we can blame the attorney.
I actually, Sandy, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think we got to the point where you said we needed an ordinance, that was the next step.
Okay,
I don't know, does anybody remember that? That's the last,
is it on me then?
no, Mr. Menu, but I remember that was the next step.
I mean, there's somebody who knows more about this than, it's like our attorney is, I would expect him to give us a draft of something and then we, adapt it to us. I mean, there was a lot in the Sun Times over the last year and a half of what Dexter Township went through to add it. And, then recently I saw that they had put out a call for people who wanted to have their property looked at, it's like, now they're ready to go, but my gosh, it took a long time to get there. So, we just need to take step one. So we can make this happen, so that people who have property here have a choice.
Right, I agree.
So what do I need
There
to
was
do?
something- Let's refresh our memory. Maybe we can go through the minutes or I can look at emails, because I feel like also there was a discussion of needing a committee or needing.
Well, we'll
maybe-
have a committee after we have the ordinance.
Okay,
The ordinance will state
okay,
that a committee will be formed.
That's what I remember as well.
Yeah,
okay. Very good. Well, let's talk to the attorney about that. Put it on the list. He can get us some examples. Let's see.
I mean, we can get the one from Dexter.
Yeah, for sure.
To just
You
review
know,
and start to look at it. Yeah.
Right, to look at it.
Okay. And by when do we want it? to do this.
Correct.
I mean, that's how things get lost.
They do, and partly it's because there's just a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely.
So, if,
So I can try to pull up the one from Dexter and send it to you all, so we'll have it by our next meeting.
okay,
But Kathy, we can also put it on a discussion item and we talk about it.
yeah, absolutely, simultaneously, we can do that, you'll have that, and then we can put that on a discussion item for next month. That looks like that concludes the business portion of our, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll wait until it's the board member comment.
Okay.
Because this doesn't have anything to do with what we've been talking about.
Okay. All right, that concludes the business portion of our agenda. We are back around to public comment. If anyone would like to have a public comment, yes, go ahead, and then Mr. Van Gogh.
I want to thank the board for taking the day off. Second, I like your idea on the preservation. My grandfather's brother actually, they sold his 70-something acre farm in Dexter. And the people bought it and put it in preservation. So nothing can happen for 100, like, build on it for 100 years. So I was happy to see that. Two, you could talk to Will Hathaway, who works as the Scioto Township supervisor.
Yep.
They've been doing the preservation thing for 20 years, I believe, in Scioto Township. So that would be a good person to talk to if you will.
Yeah,
Hathaway.
absolutely, I know him.
Yeah, he's great. And then to the comment about like the website being worked at, I thought Kate Zoronko, is that how you say her last name, was hired to work on the website.
She was temporarily helping when she was
Oh, okay,
deputy
yeah.
clerk, but now that she's not deputy clerk
Oh.
anymore, she is not. She was
Oh,
helpful
okay.
when we were looking, launching and looking.
Yeah,
at
cause I
it.
know she does a lot of that stuff.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought she was still working with them, but, all right, okay, that was everything, thank you.
First, I want to say thank you for reserving this time for us to get up and just kind of respond to a couple things. The preservation idea, great. One other item that we had a presentation on that I'd kind of like to keep maybe in front of your eyes would be the Dark Skies Initiative. Especially when I hear, phase 3 of 10. I think it's pretty important because I think as far as recreation goes and Dark Sky Initiatives and stargazing for our township, I think it runs itself to that. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. I've been thinking of that. The dark skies was part of what Sue Dickinson was proposing in the land standard changes to, is incorporating the information. So when developers come in, they have that information. But I don't want to lose sight of that either. It's fantastic. But yes.
So thank you to the board. And yes, thank you also for tabling the marijuana discussion. And just very, very quickly, I just wanted to talk about the land situation. And I do believe that people, sometimes the discussion becomes very black and white, very all or nothing. It's either, let's figure out a way to keep, the hundreds of acres that maybe aren't so great for farming, but, available for farming use, versus let's turn all the land around here into 1 acre subdivisions. And I think that there's something that can happen that's in the middle that is very respectful of people doing what they want with their property, making sure that they have some money for retirement. I can say this personally, Mr. Finney is one of my neighbors. We are very cordial with one another. I'm delighted to see him taking his walk down Kavanaugh Lake Road. I'm concerned about a big giant, his property being turned into 1 acre parcels for many reasons that I won't go back into right now. Not the least of which is, he would not be able to have this nice walk along Kavanaugh Lake Road, if we had that much traffic going back and forth. It would be a safety issue. But I do think that there is definitely, and you've heard from many community members, there are many people that are drawn to this area because of its rural character, people that have come from all the way across the country. Oregon, we had someone talking about coming from Colorado. My husband and I looked for 20 years and saved our pennies so we could come to a rural space. The rural can exist, and our neighbors who have larger swaths of property who need that retirement money, that can happen as well. Just cut it into more rural portions. You know, instead of selling it as, you know, whatever, 150 or 200 acres, or turning it into 1 acre subdivision, which completely destroys the rural character, why not offer that property in 5, 10, 20 acre plots? There are so many people in the area who are around that would love to come to the area to have a rural parcel to either build on or to have an agricultural thing, or just, you know, a home on land. And we couldn't find it. We had to rent the home across the street for a year because we could not find land in the township for our rural purposes. So I would suggest that those properties be opened up, but just in larger rural parcels, so that they can make the money they need to make, so they can have their retirement, and we can still maintain the rural character. I don't think it's an all or nothing. I think there's a both and. So that's what I'd like to say. And I don't think it's a good solution to tell the people in the rural area who moved here to be in a rural area that the way they can keep it rural is that they should go and buy up all the land around it. Because most of us don't have that kind of money. For most of us, it took us, you know, multiple decades just to earn the money for the little parcel that we were happy to eke out. So suggesting that as a solution doesn't feel like a solution that works unless you're a multi-gajillionaire. So, okay, thank you very much.
Other public comments, Scott, and then Patrick, and you're,
I'll go after that.
okay. Sorry, I didn't see you.
You know, the meeting kind of went a little sideways for various reasons, but we had an hour of the first public comment, and the regular business took another hour. I kind of did a rough thing. About 50% of the items were pulled or tabled. We've talked about this many times. I think the board needs to have a format of bringing things up to the board and the people for discussion. There's a discussion 1 month. It goes back to the board for reevaluation. Maybe it's discussed again, and then it comes to the board for a final vote, where you don't have all of this discussion, wasting time, and then being tabled. Number one. Number two, you had discussion about the basement doors. If we had a capital improvement plan, you would just pull the cost of the doors out of that fund. Still don't have a capital improvement plan. As a realtor, on your holiday close days, you still have people that are signing off and selling their homes and need to come to the township to hand in their homestead papers. You gotta have the township open one of those days, or all of them, but we still have work to do. On the office manager's position, there's 1,200 townships in Michigan. Well, our budget is under $1 million. I'd be curious to find out how many of those townships have an office manager under $1 million budget. About, what do we have? About 850 now. I don't think you're gonna find enough work to pay an office manager. And I think you're creating positions, creating, you know, bigger government. It just, I don't think it's a good idea. Again, because there was a lot of stuff going on. After the meeting, if anybody wants to follow up and ask me a couple questions, I'm gonna be at the back of the room. If you want to find out how we got here a little bit, you want to ask me a question or two, I'll be there after the meeting. Finally, because he's a good friend, shout out to Kurt for being here tonight. Probably not too many people know, and I hope I'm not calling you out, but Kurt's mom passed away last night. I really was surprised. I was surprised to find you here. My thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. All of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your service.
what are you two, the gentleman in the back or Patrick, whichever one would like to go next? Okay.
Hi, Patrick Ziski, resident, again, yeah, glad I got to go next because actually my comment kind of dovetails with what Scott just said a little bit, but in a different way. Noticing how many items, came before the board with a, a proposal of some sort or some document of some sort that needs to be reviewed more and it gets tabled for the next month. I mean, there were about 5 of them here, the office manager, the project manager, the ethics policy, the purchase of development rights, maybe a couple other things I didn't even write down. But I was thinking when I saw this is like, well, you know what? That's pretty much evidence right there that there's not a cabal on the board. Because they don't have all this stuff worked out. They don't even, yes, they should have a better structured process. So Scott's comment is right on. But it's obvious they're not getting together in secret someplace and cooking all this stuff up and rubber stamping it at a meeting. That's pretty obvious. So anybody who tells you that there is some kind of cabal of secret meetings is just lying to you. Now, speaking of which, another item which hasn't been decided forever is the malpractice money that we got in 2015. And it's related to the purchase of development rights program in a way, because we thought that we could end the 4.4 mils early with that malpractice money. We had a meeting with the room was packed like this. We got a lot of resident feedback back in 2015. And I'm wondering what it would take now. Since so much time has gone by and the decision hasn't been made. We're actually nearing the end of the millage anyway, because just it runs out eventually. But what would it take to make a decision that this winter's 4.4 and the winter tax bill will be the last one? We know the tap fees have to go to it anyway. We're within shouting distance of just being able to at least sequester the remaining amount of money that would be needed to pay principal and interest. And why this is important, I think, relating to what Sandy was talking about with purchase of development rights, because those programs that they have in Dexter and so forth, they usually have a millage attached. It's not not a really high millage, but I think that it would be a lot more palatable to township residents if the 4.4 was coming off, and then you add a 0.5 or something like that. I'm not saying I'm in favor of it necessarily, but at least I have a shouting chance at that point. So let's see if we can make this winter tax the last 4.4. And speaking of development and lot size and everything, and preserving land. As many of you know, I took a different approach. Because I'm kind of a developer and a land preserver at the same time, which is kind of weird. And we passed an open space ordinance last year, which allows you to cluster homes on smaller lots if you agree to preserve at least 50% of the property. And anybody who's interested in that, I'm actually pursuing a project like that with a modest size of 10 homes. We do have a planning commission meeting this Thursday where we're submitting a formal concept plan for review by the planning commission after all these years. So it's kind of a middle ground. And I'm trying to make rural life affordable and authentic rural life to people who don't have a lot of money enough to buy 10 acres of their own necessarily, to share a preserved farm. So thank you very much. I'll play it over again.
Patrick,
Yeah.
would the people own their property or they are going to lease the property from you, these tiny homes?
Oh, for one thing, there are no tiny homes in this project at this point.
Oh, okay,
I would have liked to, but the township does not permit tiny homes at
okay,
this time.
so they're gonna be full size.
I'd like to see that change. Yeah,
And how many on 1 acre, on 1 acre?
we're kind of getting into the planning commission. I'm not sure. We will have a presentation on Thursday. It's part of it.
Yeah,
I have 22 acres,
22.
so it's 10 homes over 22 acres. Which is in keeping, with the average 2 acres. But yeah, we'll have a real presentation on Thursday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Matt Kemp, I'm a lifelong resident of Chelsea, Sylvan Township, and I live on Brown Drive. I want to bring something up, that needs attention. I've discussed it with a couple of board members in the past, but it doesn't seem to have gotten enough consideration. I'm sure many of you are aware of or have heard of Milan Dragway. It's one of the more popular drag strips in Southeast Michigan. Well, I'm here to let you know, we have one in Chelsea now. It's called Westbound Brown Drive. I'm not being facetious, sarcastic, or hyperbolic. Any of you are welcome to come sit in my yard any day of the week and watch the traffic on Brown Drive going downhill in a westward direction. Now, Brian is probably somewhat aware of this, Mr. Dar, because he's there during business hours, but I live there. I'm there all day long. And I can tell you that I can count at least 20 cars every day that are hitting speeds of 70 miles an hour or more. And the reason I can tell you that without a radar gun is because these cars come around that S-curve by Wendy's. They see that long downhill road, and many of them, and I can give you the license plate numbers and the makes and models. They are doing at least 70 miles an hour when they go past Brian's place, which is just maybe 50 yards past my place. And the reason I can tell you they're hitting that speed is because they're actually going faster than the traffic on the highway, which I can see directly over their vehicle. They're actually passing or going faster than the vehicles on the highway. Now, I mean, I was a kid. I had V8s. I like speed too. I don't drive that way anymore, but I understand. But this is a problem for the safety of the residents, especially the youth of Sylvan Crossing. Now, I'm not going to tell you that every kid in Sylvan Crossing is an angel. They oftentimes dump their wrappers, cigarettes, and food waste in my yard, which I probably pick up about every day. But I'm here to warn people of Sylvan Township, I am deathly scared, and I have some experience in traffic engineering. My dad was head of traffic enforcement in Ann Arbor for many years as an Ann Arbor cop. I studied major traffic accidents and speed violators and all that kind of stuff. I still can't get concrete delivered to this day because my dad wrote up so many concrete companies that they all know I'm responsible for it. But I am deathly scared that there's going to be a severe injury or fatality on Brown Drive. Now, I confirmed with Washtenaw County Road Commission, Mark McCullough, that there's a plan to resurface Brown Drive next year. It's scheduled to happen in June, July, from what Mr. McCullough at WRCRC told me. But I asked him, I said, well, what are they going to do to improve the road? He said, well, basically, they're just going to elevate the road 2 inches and make it thicker asphalt. I said, well, how about a sidewalk? How about an extended shoulder? How about lighting? There is none of that. Well, speed bumps, that's usually not feasible because you have emergency traffic that needs to get to that trailer, that Sylvan Crossing in the event there's a person with a heart attack or something. So that speed bumps are not feasible. I've looked at that many times. But an extended shoulder at a minimum should be considered. And what I mean by extended shoulder, just a 4-foot wider asphalt shoulder on both sides of the road. Now, even though I'm on the north side of Brown Drive, I would not favor that on my side, just because it's impinging on my property a little bit. But if that's what all that can be done, that's fine. But keep in mind that that's the traffic lane of highest speed. It's people going downhill that are hitting those speeds of 70. And I've seen vehicles, I think, probably even hit 100. And I've talked to people who said that they've talked to people in Sylvan Crossing that were bragging that they've hit 100. So it's happening. I talked to the state police about it because they're the jurisdiction in that area. They said, we don't have enough officers to come out here. It was hard enough for them to come out last year when my house was almost broken into, was vandalized and theft. I had some theft in my yard, which I had a police report done for. But the bottom line is, I don't want to see anyone get severely hurt or killed. And there needs to be, at a minimum, expanded 4-foot shoulder on both sides of Brown Drive, the entire length, from Wendy's where the sidewalk ends, all the way down to Sylvan Crossing. Now they're putting in this, in my opinion, this ridiculous path that goes all the way from Chelsea to Boyce Road for people to walk their dogs, not against dogs, but I mean, it seems like an incredible amount of money. The money that is resurfacing Brown Drive, I would have hoped there was enough money in there to either provide a sidewalk,
like a white sidewalk, because I can tell you right now. I see people walking, oftentimes it's kids from 8, 10 years old. To 22, 25, who maybe work at Taco Bell and work until midnight. You know, that are walking down Brown Drive in the dark. And it's not safe when you have vehicles traveling that fast on Brown Drive. I've seen people literally jump into the grass in my yard to avoid getting hit. I've had people almost rear end me, giving me the middle finger as they go by me, saying, "Why are you slowing down?" It's like, idiot, I live here. I'm pulling into my driveway, that's why I'm slowing down, and then when they see me pulling into my driveway, they're like, oh. But I mean, that's a constant occurrence. So I would just ask the board, you know, take another look at that. I don't know if that was ever really studied, but I am sure that with current and expanded growth of Sylvan Crossing and all that development down there, it would necessitate via traffic specifications and standards for volume and otherwise, that there be at least a walkway of some sort, whether it's a sidewalk or an expanded shoulder for both pedestrians and bicyclists. Because I see a ton of them. I probably get more people walking on Brown Drive in front of my house in the evening and on the weekends than most other streets in Chelsea. Because there is 145 homes, most of them have kids, and there's 100 and whatever more going on. That's an incredible amount of people down there, and these aren't, nothing against them. These aren't people with a lot of money where they can buy their kids a brand new car when they turn 16. A lot of these kids are growing up in houses that, you know, are median income, and they don't have that kind of money, so they're walking to town, they're walking to Mug and Bob's or to Taco Bell or wherever they're walking.
Right.
And that's great, that's a good thing.
Right.
I lived on Pierce Road where I grew up, I rode my bike in town all the time. A lot of these kids are having to do the same, and it's not safe. It is not. We rode 3.5 miles. And only one time did we ever run into a pedophile on Garvey Road that we had to run. Kavanaugh Lake.
Oh, they still do it every year.
Okay.
They got,
But even back then, there were people going 70, 75 miles an hour. Kavanaugh Lake. People were going 45, 50. When they saw us, they'd go out and around us. Not the case on Brown Drive. There's traffic going both directions. There almost needs to be a traffic light at the end of my driveway.
Well,
Because the traffic is so intense. It is, I mean, there's literally a car is going by every 30 seconds.
well, you know, we talked about, and this is public comment, so this is not my time to respond to you guys. It's so hard to do. So anyway, but I have a lot to say about that, and there's a lot of traffic studies we've done. The money that you're talking about, the road commission, it's put down by consumers because they jacked up all the roads when they put their pipeline through, especially Brown Drive. So the money that the road commission has been put down by consumers to repair the road. So I think anything beyond that, the township would have to pay for.
Wouldn't Southern Crossing, I'm sorry, wouldn't Southern Crossing have a stake in that money? And they're the ones putting in all these homes
Well,
and families, wouldn't they want to pay for the safe access?
Well, and that could be a discussion, but I think just to address the money that you're talking about, I think is money that consumers' energy put down to fix that road. Those, all the other things we can talk about, all very valid points. I just wanted to mention that I think probably that's what Mr. McCullough was referring to, is that,
Sure.
to fix that, but that road's, it's, yeah.
It'd be a shame if nothing was done and someone got severely hurt or killed, paralyzed. And
Probably
that's
gonna be
what's probably
super
gonna happen.
expensive to put, you know, like that would be borne by us, right? Like we would be paying for all of that. And I'll tell you, if there's one thing that's more expensive than anything around here, I feel like it's roads. But again, I'm getting too much into the weeds. Just, it's not public comment time. So thank you for your.
Thank you.
Yes, public comments. Okay, here and then Carol and then Brian. No, is that, oh, okay. Okay. All right, would you like to go?
Check. It's open car. That's how slight traffic was.
so I just have one question, comment, kind of, you were talking, Catherine was talking about the Westchester Farms and the subdivisions and stuff and all that. And they're all looking into the water and sewer. And then we had Trenda who said that there's not enough people hooking onto the water and sewer. That's why we need subdivisions out in Sylvan Township in our area. And if that were to happen, with all these subdivisions, if they were to get 1 acre lots or whatever, they're not hooking into the water and the sewer, period. These, they're not on that line. The Finney's property is not going to hook in to water and sewer.
And the board denied their request.
Yeah,
They
well,
put in a thing of-
so why is this even an issue that, oh, we need to build this out in our township to further, you know, advance the water system and the sewers and stuff? Because that's a mute issue, it's not even there. So, you know, 2 acre lots, you know, I think would be adequate for somebody who wants to have a subdivision. You're not gonna stop these subdivisions. We've already got 2 acre lots. You can't now go back and say, oh, we want it to be 5 or 10 acres. I understand that, but you know, just don't make it less than 2 acre lots. Thank you.
Yes.
Carol Konechki, you need to look at the ordinances, you already have a land preservation ordinance. It already exists, which is why you have, like the con preservation, you have several other preservations. So you need to look at the ordinance, they already exist. You might need to tweak it up a little bit, but it already exists. And as for Matt talking about Brown Drive, when Sylvan Crossing was coming, proposing phase 2, we actually sent to Washtenaw County and to MDOT the fact that they were proposing another 145 some homes and asked, because they already did traffic impact study, and asked if they wanted to have any more comment. We got zip comment. So there you go. And also, I want to say to you, Scott, many times I'd be glad to talk with you. You still have some animosity towards me, and I'd love to talk with you because you're still clueless.
Any other public comments? Yes.
Thank you for taking marijuana off the table, appreciate that. So Amy Kovarchek. So thank you for keeping the second comment, because there are a lot of townships and or other facilities like school boards and everything that allow second comment. So that would have been a little bit of a slap in the face to your residents, so I appreciate you keeping that. $5,000 for professional services to install 11 computers is extremely outrageous. I would recommend that you ask one of the local computer stores around here to install those systems. I'm sure that they can probably do it for a fraction of the cost. Again, I'm in the services industry, so I kind of understand the cost, but that's a lot of money for, and by the way, they don't install your any kind of specific applications that you might be using. They're gonna keep it very basic, so you're not really gonna get what you think that you're paying for $5,000. If the developer responsibility, if the developer, that project manager position resides with the developer, and they're responsible for that, then I would recommend that you make sure that they give you give you that resource, and that resource is an independent resource that does not work for them and is not paid by them, but is paid by us through them, so that we make sure that we get what we're looking for.
That's how it goes right now.
Okay. For the fiber, are they running fiber to the actual houses, or are they running fiber to a hub and then like Cat 5 or Cat 6 to the homes?
They will be running fiber to your home.
Fiber to the home, okay, I just was looking for clarification on that. And then, for the snow removal and winter maintenance, I know it probably doesn't have anything to do with what you guys are talking about, but it sparked my mind that for whatever reason, Kavanaugh Lake Road, for many years, I think probably for a good 3 or 4 years that we lived here, especially in the winter time and deer season, all of the brush would be cut back for a good 3-4 feet off of the road. so that the deer coming up to the road, we could see before they jump out in front of us and we either kill them or damage our cars. And that hasn't happened for many years now. I mean, they don't really cut it back the way that it used to. It only gets cut back for like maybe a couple feet. And there was a point where it was being cut back like far enough where you could actually, like you could see the deer coming out before they were jumping in the road. And so I don't know who's doing that now, but it's not being done as good as it used to be. Especially, and again, it's more important in the winter time when all that is brown and you can't see the deer coming through, especially in the deer season. Coming down Kavanaugh Lake and it's kind of dark, especially when you're getting kids from school. I mean, that's the main road coming down Kavanaugh Lake. So I don't know who does that. I don't know if that's our responsibility or the or if it's Washtenaw, but yeah, they're not doing a very good job of that anymore. So. And then, since you are, Ms. Kennedy, are the new interim zoning officer as of today, I would like to know what you're gonna do about the pot facility up there, out in the corner from now.
Wow, so if that's for my zoning responsibilities, I'd have to double check. I mean,
Well, he's literally doing it without a zoning permit and without all the right, licenses and stuff, so I would just like to know. what it is.
I'm confused. I would look at the file because to my understanding, he put in a thing, he had the permit, he said that. We asked for his licensure, he said, okay, I'm rescinding, I'm taking back, I'm not putting it in there. So to me, he does have all the proper permits. I think you are, but didn't Devin say he did for what he did on his revised paperwork?
He has it for the revised paperwork, but he was told that he could not grow marijuana even for personal use.
Right.
Clearly he is growing.
Well, then let's call the police, right? Like
No,
he's
I-
doing something illegal, I can go out there. So there was a meth house recently.
I'm gonna sit down now. That's all I had.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and so somebody told me that there were trailers out there that they were making meth in and that we should have our zoning person go out there, and I'm like, that's a police thing, folks. Like, we can't have our people, and if we're gonna do that, then we have to do it for everybody. And I drive past a house on US 12 that has a trailer outside almost half of the year. And who else has trailers here? So we have to do it for everybody or we don't. So to me, and I can double check with Devin and Matt Forrester, according to them, as my understanding, they have current permits for what they're doing. If they're working outside of what their permits are and it's illegal, that's a police activity.
Okay, I'll follow.
I think we should, and I think you have, I mean, clearly, if it's a legal thing, right, just like the people on my road, I live on Leebeck Road. People fly down the road, cause they deliver, and then they just fly out of there, they don't, it's like a ribbon, and my kids, I can't let them ride their bikes on my road. It's all dirt, it's the road. And I don't, like, what can I, I stand out there and shake my fist. And I can call the road commission or the police and say you need to police this, but.
But if he doesn't have the permits and he doesn't have it, that was the.
But he does have the permits.
Does he have the permit to grow the amount of marijuana that he's?
If he's growing, then it's illegal, then that's a police thing.
But is he zoned to be selling marijuana from that facility?
Who's zoned to sell marijuana out of a facility? Like, I don't know. And if it's illegal, then let's call the police. As far as I understand, the structure he has there, he has permits for what he's doing. What he told us. Now, do we go out there to everybody who puts in a permit and follow up with them and say, we need to go into your barn? Are you really, you said it's for storage. Is that really what it is? I mean.
But Kathy, we have the initial paperwork that shows that it was supposed to be a care facility.
But
And
then
that-
he
and that-
rescinded it when
yes.
we asked for his license. We were responsible and I believe Carol emailed the attorney about it. And we said, these are the documents we need if you're doing that. And then he said, well, I don't have that, and then you can't do that. And then he said, okay, well, I'm building this pole barn, I'll just use it for storage instead of storage and this other thing. So that's the permit we approved, that's the permit he took to CACA, that's the permit Matt Forrester approved, and the inspectors went out.
Yeah, CACA told me they are expecting to do a certificate of occupancy because they're expecting
him to be a medical marijuana facility. That file is still open with them because they were wondering why we had not followed up.
But the permit is closed, and maybe I don't have all the.
Our zoning on
And maybe we should have a special meeting, or I will scan these information into the attorney, and we can talk with Devin, because I'm hearing something else from Devin. She reached out to me too, she said, you know, this is, so she reached out to me, I was aware that. This information that FOIA requested, and so I looked at it, and to me, and she agreed, you know, the permit for what he's doing is okay. You know, and again, we're open 12 hours a week, we run off of 0.94 mils. I don't know what people. Yeah, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot, folks, and we need the police to do their jobs, and we need to do our jobs. So I'm sorry, I'm talking in public comment. So is there another public comment? Thank you.
It's okay.
Okay, it's not the structure of the meeting.
Paul Johnson, resident of Summit Township for 36 years. We're just new here because you're not a resident here unless you have a street deed back here. I understand. Someday, but first off, I just want to say thanks to the board. I know that maybe some of you had a personal agenda, or not agenda, but personal thought that you felt was good for Sylvan, and I appreciate that you listened to the community and changed your mind. I really do appreciate that. Because that means a lot, you know, to go against maybe what you were thinking. So, second off, is we have a lot of business owners in Southern Township. I'm a contractor here. And so, like, I never knew that you needed doors for your town here. I mean, if someone had bought the doors, we would just install those for free. I mean, we would do stuff like that. So, is there a way that you could advertise things that you need before you just put it out there for open biddings? That there'd be someone else like us that would come in here, we just live down the road. So those would be easy for us to do contracting. We're not in commercials, so those doors might be a little harder, but anything that you need here, just, you know, I'll just leave a card, and if you guys need stuff, I would just encourage you to, you know, give us a call, or if there's a way to put it in an email or letter or somehow, just let us know, hey, we need some maintenance here. We have a lot of friends. I have a friend who's big in the computer business, and I just texted him and he said, hey, just have him reach out to me and I can hook him up. So, you know, I don't know what that price will be, but he's an awesome guy. Yeah, smart computer guy. So I think it'd be a great resource. But just if we don't know what those issues are, what those needs are, we can't help you out. So that's just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very good. It's wonderful, folks. We're all neighbors. Nobody's enemies here. You know, we're all just trying to get along, and I appreciate that. And immediately I thought of the website, and Sandy probably did too. Like, that would be a great way for us, because we don't have a lot of ways we can communicate with you guys. So the website's a good way to do that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Other public comment tonight.
Thank you for all your time.
Thank you. All right, Board of Trustee comments.
Yes.
Yes, now Sandy does.
So some time ago, we had a conversation about using some of the ARPA money to put a gas generator here at the township hall. If you think about, I will say that where I live, I have not lost electricity very often, but I lost power twice in the late winter. And there is no emergency place for people in my age group to go. And I think that using the township hall is big, it certainly needs some renovations, but now we have this ARPA money that we can use to install a generator. We're going to be getting in a couple of years money to make upgrades to the handicap part of the restrooms and any other things that have to do with the handicap accessibility. So I want us to talk about this.
Yes.
And again, I don't know what step one is. I don't know what step one is. Do I need to make a motion? Do what?
Well. I mean, I think, a good way to do this is we can look for grant money. I know right away their, insurance company has a risk reduction grant that they do every year. They put it out, it's matching funds. It's not a lot of money. I wanna say maybe $5,000 maximum, but it's money.
Right.
And they're interested in reducing risk, right? So our risk is reduced if we have a generator that's gonna keep everything running and it doesn't blow out or so blah, blah, blah. So we would qualify for a grant. So I like to think of, let's look for some free money and then just shopping a generator that would be big enough to, you know, help run this place. And we may have people here tonight are people who know people who could help with that. But there's, you know, finding it and then funding it, I think, are two ways that, and then when we have something concrete for the board.
Well, I mean, we need to have somebody who is a designer, who comes and looks at the place and says, these are the things that you need to do to make it useful as a shelter. You know, I worked in Howell at the hospital there, and we had a tornado watch. And here comes to the hospital a couple with a 6-week-old baby because they lived in a modular home and they could not, it was dangerous for them to stay there. So there are probably there are other reasons besides losing their electricity, why people would want to be able to access this building. We need to have somebody, I think the first thing we need to do is have somebody who designs that sort of thing come and then tell us what we need. And then we get an idea about what it costs and then we go shopping for the money.
But I don't know who that person is.
Okay. Well, if anybody knows anyone who redesigns municipal buildings for emergency use, that sounds pretty specific. Please let us know. And then the final thing that I want to say is, you know, my email address is on the website. If I say something that doesn't make sense to you, or it's something that you violently disagree with, for heaven's sake, send me an email. I would much rather have you ask me and me explain to you what it was I was really saying, rather than it sounded like I said this other thing, which I may not have. Please get in touch. Not just me, but all the rest of them, but especially me. That's it. I'm done.
Well, I guess I'll start off by saying that the mileage that I was paid for is not just for post office. It's for training that I drove 3 hours each way to get to. And the second thing is, I'll apologize for the email. Sometimes it gets hard around here when you're constantly being criticized and hammered on, sometimes a little viciously, you know, and it pushes things to the limits. So, and I'm very aware that everything's foible here, you know, and sometimes things get out of hand. So, apologize for that.
All right. I want to talk about a couple of things real quickly. On Friday, I attended the Veterans Day ceremony that they had at Betts Park down there, and I saw Mayor Pacheco and our representative Kathy Schmalz, and I saw Debbie Dingle there. So that was really great. It was wonderful to honor the veterans. It was a lengthy program this year and it was really well done. So kudos to them. I also want to say thank you to Beckett and Rader and everybody who helped put our master plan open house together. Trenda, I want to say a special thanks to Trenda because she came and helped me pull weeds out front for 3 hours on Friday morning. And then actually also brought in the hay and the pumpkins and the mums. I believe she had a contribution from Fusilier Farms right over here. So thank you, Trenda, and thank you to the Fusiliers.
Thank you very much.
Yes, the township never looked so good. I had to take a quick picture. So I'm like, this is what needs to be on our website instead of just the old one with the motorcycle. It looked funny, so thank you. I have reached out, so on the bond payments and the 4.4, We did get information from the bond council that said bond payments or the tap fees do need to go to the bond. And so I'm communicating with the treasurer's office right now, Washtenaw County Treasurer, saying, hey, we got $1 million in tap fees from the, growth. So when we refunded, they don't call it refinance, when we refunded the bond about 18 months ago, it had 4 million left on it. We were raising $1 million a year, so there's 4 years left. That was over a year ago, so I'm assuming we're probably down to 3 that we owe. If we send $1 million from the tap fees, we're down even farther. Now that Leone has lifted the Eagle moratorium, Eagle has lifted the sewer moratorium, these other places are gonna be moving, we'll have more tap fees coming in. So I think it could be a real possibility that we will end the 4.4 mils ahead of 2026, which I think is the scheduled date that it would end. And then we have some advances if we can pay that off too. We're really looking at the end of that very long tunnel that we have all been through. So if we can speed it up, I think everybody on the board here is all in favor of that. So I don't know if that addresses some of what you were saying, but that's going on. I communicated with them. I want to let the board know if we need to take a board vote, but the attorney instructed us, we have to put those monies towards the bond. So I think just the appropriate things to do that rather than us going against attorney advice. It's really difficult when we've been here for 3 hours to remember what was said at the first public comment, and I'm trying to write things down and revisit them. But it's tough, and we've all been here for a really long time and sitting too. I mean, after the first hour, I was gonna get up and say, do we all need to stretch? And that was 2 hours ago, so we're all feeling it. But anybody has any questions, you know, come to me, come to somebody on the board. I appreciate what Sandy said. There's a lot of things that are brought forward. Anybody's welcome to stay. I think, you know, once we leave, we gotta lock up the building tonight. I know Mr. Cooper is, you know, happy to entertain people back there. I don't know how long we're gonna be here. You're welcome to stay up front. It's a nice night. We'll leave the lights on if that's what people want to do. So, yeah.
Now that you're taking over those zoning officials,
Yes.
are we gonna see you in the office more?
Well, I'm here pretty much Monday through Thursday. You know, when the meetings, there's a lot of meetings and stuff I do as supervisor, but you know, when we're open, I've been here predictably. So maybe you haven't seen me because I think you've been dealing with, you know, Carol, but I will be here. So yeah. I think you'll see me more because I'm already here during those times, but I will be here and you can take my business card off of a little thing, although I think you already have my email address. So, you know how to get in touch. All right. So yeah, I wanted to mention that about the treasurer, about that. I think that's all.
Just one thing I wanted to point out, I saw this Michigan class in the board packet, and it looks like we've been earning over 5% interest. That's impressive. Year to date, almost 60,000 in interest income. Good job.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Motion to
adjourn.
all right, motion to adjourn. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I didn't hear anything about it, and I was like 5 minutes late, so I just wanted to say, we bought the 84 acres on Sylvan Road. There's already people talking about it.
Yeah, I saw that online, and I saw a lot of speculation and innuendo that the board had something to do with that, or we were somehow doing, and that bothered me. I don't know where these rumors come from. I don't know who purchased it. I would be willing to bet that our assessor would know first. You know, when people buy land and there's land transfers, always goes through the assessor's office. So if you have a minute, I'm gonna give you my business card and I will ask her tomorrow and I'll see if I can follow up and find out who bought that parcel.
Pretty much all the people in Sylvan Road all talk to each other. Now,
Okay.
we're all good neighbors.
Yeah.
And they were like, if you're going up there, please make sure you search out that, because
Well,
that road is already really kind of dessert during the day and the mornings and the foot, the rumor mill has already said 64 houses on that property.
Oh, my goodness.
So.
Well, I,
Almost like you still.
yeah, I haven't seen anything like that. And I, everybody putting in homes, you would be coming to the planning commission, there would be. Yeah, we would have heard about, there's a process for that kind of thing, but. So yeah, tell them nothing that I know of, but let's follow up before this meeting, okay. All right, so there was a motion to adjourn and support at 9:55.
That was Ron and Sandy.
Yes. All right, all in, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
I have no idea.
Oh, thank you.
I have myself right by
Yeah.